So, Garuda. This Warframe is fucking nuts. She has some problems that I will talk about now. But she's absolutely fucking disgusting, and she generally cannot die. She pretty much actually cannot die, and this build isn't even that good, because you could make some absolutely disgusting changes to this, and it would be even better, but I think people don't appreciate Garuda enough, and the main reason being she has some long cast times, and you need to press more than one button to kill everything, which in my book is not a problem unless you're in a big hurry to farm something for some reason. If you're in a hurry, in a big hurry, don't play Garuda. Just play, I don't know, just play fucking Siren, or play Protea, or play anything that can just press a button and kill everything. But Garuda's pretty damn fun. And she's literally unkillable and does a lot of damage. So let me explain what she does and how do I use her. So, first thing that Garuda can do is her passive. You see that fucking thing on the bottom right of my screen that says plus 65% damage? That is her passive. She gets more damage per kill. Like, you cannot get more basic than that. You just get more damage by killing shit. And it's not a very good damage buff. If I remember correctly, I think it's a Serration type of buff. So it's not like having a 100% extra damage by Rhinos 3. But that is good, because then it would be absolutely broken and disgusting. So it's just a nice damage buff that you will absolutely forget that you have until you play other frames that don't have that passive. And for some reason you feel like you do less damage. That's the reason. Because it is really easy to keep up. As you can see, I'm still at 42 and I haven't stopped talking for the last 2 minutes. So yeah, it's just a really simple passive that works really well. But now, for her abilities. Her one is kind of underrated, but it's necessary to do her combo. I say it's underrated because the shield part of this ability, it's pretty good actually. You cannot get damage in the direction that your shield is in. Like, you literally cannot. You can get procced by a toxin or anything like that, but direct attacks that come from the direction of your shield, it won't do anything to you. And it also has a pretty nice jump that gives you invulnerability, so you have a decent chance to get in the middle of everything without getting instantly one-shot. Also, each time you get damage in your shield, it accumulates in that big ball that you see up there. And the cool thing about it is that even when the shield runs out, you still keep the ball, and you can keep the ball rolling. And it accumulates damage every single time you get hit in the shield, and it also accumulates damage every single time that you hit your one. So you can get to pretty stupid amounts, and then you can hold it. And for those of you that cannot read numbers, that is millions. Yeah, that's millions. It drains energy for each second that you want to make it bigger, but it's not a big problem because 1 million slash damage is 1,000,001 slash damage, so like, why would you even need more? You know what I mean? That by itself doesn't do much because it's only slash damage, but you'll see later. Her second ability is the one that I don't use because you just impale an enemy and start to heal in an area around that enemy, and that lasts for a long while, like maybe around 15 seconds, 20 seconds, and it's cool. But you could also just heal without needing to camp that enemy with Gloom, which I know, boring, I know. But Garuda is one of the better Gloom users in the entire game. Like, bar none, and you'll see why. You get the slow to the enemy, so they become less dangerous. And you get healing for literally everything that you do, so that's pretty cool. And now the reason. Now the reason why Garuda is literally fucking unkillable. And you'll see why with my build. You can just press your 3 to lose health and gain energy. which sounds like the opposite of unkillable, but you'll see. You'll see. And now for her ult, she can create a big AoE effect where every enemy gets slash procced, and also every single damage that you do to them procs more slash. So keeping that in mind, you could, no problem, create a big ball, and then you use your ult on enemies, and then this 1 million damage proc gets the biggest slash proc you have ever seen in your entire life and kills everything in an area. Which is really good. And it's really good to kill high-level enemies. Of course, they need to be vulnerable to status, because if they're not, you're not gonna do anything. But also bear in mind, this ability, this right here, is really good for clearing low levels, because it goes through walls. This thing goes through walls, and lower level enemies will just die. Will just die from the first last proc. Like, no problem. You don't need to get your combo going. So that's pretty much Garuda. She looks cool as hell. She's the slash lady, and she is absolutely unstoppable. The reason being this build. So Garuda, for some fucking reason, has more than 800 energy pool with Prime Flow. And I don't even have Prime Flow to the max. And I don't even have extra energy Archon shards. But for some godforsaken reason, she has that much energy. And, as you saw before, you can heal all the time with your 2, and you can generate energy all the time with your 3. Which means this becomes viable. In other words, you have one of the biggest fucking health pools of any frame, and you can keep regenerating it at no cost. Literally at no cost. Which also, if you're not willing to press her 3 that much, you can also mix quick thinking with Hunter Adrenaline, so you get energy even when you get hit. So one ability heals you, which gives you health that you can use to transform into energy, which is also your health, and then you heal up with that 2 ability that you infused on her, or her original ability, which allows you to generate even more energy. And that health by itself is also really good, because you have really good base armor, and you can get Arcane Guardian and get stupid amounts of armor, and you're seeing how this won't fucking die, right? Like, you're seeing this, right? Like, let's just get in the middle of everything. And of course, we also use adaptation, and then it's really hard to kill her. Because, like, what can they do? Like, what can they do? Like, the thing that could maybe kill you is like a big bombard rocket at really big levels, at really, really high levels. That might kill you because, you know, fucking adaptation. But yeah, like, no trouble at all. Like, I'm 0 health, no problem. Like, my energy will tank it. Like, there's literally no problem at all. Our enemies are so goddamn slow, and then you just shoot them and you're full health again. And you get tired of their shit. And as you can see, I'm absorbing the damage with my 1, which also makes me unkillable from one direction. They cannot hit me, they literally cannot hit me. And then you just nuke them from orbit and they all die. And it's ridiculous. So that's the reason to play Garuda. Like, that is the reason to play Garuda. She cannot die, and she can, if it's affected by slash, of course, kill everything. And that is the reason to use Garuda. But of course, I wouldn't just leave it at that, because I've made some optimizations for my playstyle. What do I do? What do I like doing with her? I really enjoy using Garuda's talons, because talons are a really fun type of melee weapon to use with a really cool moveset. So I just use them. And surprise, surprise, Garuda Prime has better talons than normal Garuda. They also look extra fucking cool. And you can get these stats. And when you have this last weighting with 72% status without whipping wounds, and you hit enemies that are propped to get even more slashes because of your ult, shit starts to become just a little ridiculous. And there's also something really fun that you can do, which is her augment. Which, I mean, it's not the best augment in the entire world. It only... What it does is it transforms your ult if you just press it once instead of flying and throwing the whole ultimate. You just use it in an area around you, which is really good if you're using melee, because everything around you, which is what you're hitting with, your melee weapon, will get the proc of her ult, and you don't need to get stopped in the middle of the air in a really high level where you might get killed because you're in the middle of the air and maybe some enemies in an angle that your shield won't stop. So it becomes way safer because you can just tap it and forget it and you keep fighting. And that's all you need. It's not a meta... It's definitely like not a meta augment for any reason, and if you don't plan on using Garuda at melee range with her talons, I would just recommend you to drop this. This is 100% a fun augment if you're planning to play her melee, but if you give me a Warframe which has talons in her kit, I'm gonna play her melee. That's for sure. Of course, I will also have, how would I call this? An emergency tool. An emergency tool that will become useful later. But I'll 100% just try to play her melee. Because the slash procs are just too much. They're just too much. Too much. What would I change this thing if you were to not use her? With this playstyle, I would just use natural talent here. And if you use natural talent here and you can cast your abilities even faster, you don't need the only Archon shard that I use on her. Because her animations are kinda long. That's the biggest problem with her. Her animations are kinda long. And because you also need to cast more than one thing, it compounds and it makes you far slower at killing everything than other frames. That's the reason she might be a B+ tier or A- tier instead of A+ tier. Because if Garuda could just press her ult and kill everything, she would be absolutely meta. Like, no questions asked. So yeah, you could just use natural talent here, or maybe more range, or just whatever the fuck you want. Also, if you are willing to press your 3 more often, you can drop Hunter Adrenaline. You can absolutely drop Hunter Adrenaline, and then the possibility would open for a full Umbral Garuda. You could absolutely make a full Umbral Garuda, and with the base stats that she has, it would be really good. Really good. And I might just do that. The rest of the build is kind of to taste, but I feel like you need some range on her because her base range is good enough that with just these 2 mods, it becomes really more than usable. And also Steel Charge is for convenience because it makes me do more melee damage, which is what I'm using. If you're not using the melee Garuda build, you should be using something else like Corrosive Projection or anything like that. Or maybe even Brief Respite, or whatever the fuck you want. But this is my playstyle, and it allows me to use less formas, so why not? And with the arcanes, yeah, you don't need more, no more augmented. You don't need it at all, but it's really good for the slow on Gloom. It's really good for the ratios on her ultimate and the slash procs. It's just really good. So you can use whatever else, but I like it a lot. And Arcane Guardian because I like to health tank. I really like health tanking in this game. I'm fucking tired of shield shenanigans. I like a good old tank, so Arcane Guardian is insane. So with all of this in mind, you get a Warframe which her only problem is that she's a little slow with this build. And you could make her faster and even more tankier with more casting speed shards and with more energy shards to have even more a bigger health pool with quick thinking, or even just adding her more health because you can absolutely do that. But I feel like with this build it's better to add more energy because of the efficiency going on with the mod, because each point of energy that you have counts as 2.4 points of health. So yeah. And now let me show you how little fucks she gives, because she just like there's no way of there's no stopping this bitch. Like this bitch is unstoppable. Like she does not care. She just doesn't care. There's no way to stop this bitch. It's amazing. I love her. I love her so much, and she looks cool as hell though. So let me show you. You can get some energy with Xenoric if you want. If you want, of course.
They have just shut down all systems.
Yeah, but it's like...
Sending life support capsules your way.
what are you gonna do, bro? And you tap her 4 and every single enemy is propped to get absolutely slashed to death. And it's like... like, what can they do? The only thing they can do is just die. Like, your run goes out, no problem, just get another one. Like, I don't see my health going low at any point. And even if it did, you still have, like, the biggest energy pool I have ever seen in my entire life. Like, what corrupted bombards steel path, like, it doesn't matter, like, they just die. Like, no questions asked. This girl just doesn't give a shit.
Life support on the way.
Like, even without her 4, like, her talents do a lot of damage. Like, do you see that? And of course, if you also use Tenokai, then yeah, we all know what a heavy melee attack does in this game, right? Like, I don't need to explain how busted they are, right? Like, look at that shit. Like, she does not care. So if you just wanna jump in the middle of 2,000 enemies and slash every single one of them berserker mode, this is your girl. And I love how synergistic this whole Warframe is, and how even more synergistic you can make her with the mods I'm using. So yeah, again, not meta at all, not meta, because she cannot nuke an entire room by herself. I mean, she can do that, but it takes her a little more time, but... I mean... yeah. So, what do you want me to say? She's really good. She does the not dying part of the equation that makes Warframes good. She does the not dying part really well. She can also do the not dying part really well without Gloom, but with Gloom it's even better. So, yeah, like, she passes that test. And she does the let me remove you from this plane of existence test also really fucking well. And enemies are, like, corrupted heavy gunners are studying every single day. They're studying how to kill this bitch. And they're failing the test, like, every single day. They study and study and study. They do their best. They really try. They have been rehabilitating, and I stopped drinking to just get to the studies. But it's not enough. It's not enough. There's nothing they can do. So they will go back to drinking. And also to their fucking graves, because I'm gonna slash every single one of them. And that is Garuda in a nutshell. I'm gonna slash every single one of them, and there's nothing you can do. And I also don't know how to finish this video, so I'll just fucking end it like that. Bye.